Hi, my name is Dr. Megan Mathias. I'm with True North Equine, and today we're going to discuss how to apply a foot wrap. The materials that you will need for this are a hoof pick, preferably with a brush, some duct tape, vet wrap, an animal Lintex hoof poultice. If you don't have access to this, you can also use a diaper, some sort of thick cotton or gauze, Epsom salt, and iodine. Instead of the Epsom salt, you can also use sugar if you have that available instead of the Epsom salt. So typically I like to make my duct tape boot first so that I have that completed before I even start working on the horse. So what I do is I add duct tape strips in a vertical pattern and do multiple of them. So I usually make them overlap about 50%. Then I go back across the entire boot and do horizontal strips of duct tape, again overlapping 50%. So I'll add just a couple more to the bottom of my boot to complete it. The other thing that I have found really helpful is after I make my duct tape boot, I take a pair of scissors and I then cut the corners at an angle. So what this does is after I apply the duct tape boot to the horse's foot, you'll see that it creates these 4 nice flaps that make it much easier and neater to apply around the foot. I usually will then stick this to my leg as a nice place to hold onto it so I don't set it down on the ground and get it dirty. Next, you want to make sure that the horse's foot is completely picked out and brushed all the dirt away. We have already done this with this horse today. The next step, if you're using animal Lintex, is to take your animal Lintex pad. The pad has 2 sides to it. One side is covered with cotton, the other side has a plastic covering on it. You want to make sure when you apply this that the plastic is away from the horse. You want to put the cotton side directly onto the bottom of the horse's foot. You can either use these dry or you can dip them in water and then wring out any of the excess water. The next step is to apply this to the foot and we will then secure it using vet wrap. I always keep a pair of scissors handy in my pocket in case we don't need to use the entire roll of vet wrap. Our patient today is a pony, so we probably will only need to use about half of the roll of vet wrap. Our patient to pick up her foot. We then apply the cotton side of the animal Lintex pad directly onto the foot. Sometimes if a horse is not cooperative, you may want a second person that can hold the foot for you while you apply the bandage. Then I take the vet wrap and hold it with my thumb and just go around the bottom of the foot. The most important thing when applying this vet wrap is that you don't want the vet wrap to go up very high on the skin part of the horse. So you want to keep it down low around the foot, around the hoof. If you apply too much pressure onto the skinned area with the vet wrap, you can create some swelling and discomfort for the horse. And I just continue going around the foot until I'm happy that the animal Lintex pad is securely fastened onto the foot. Some people can tear the vet wrap nice and neatly. I usually just cut it, but whatever works for you is fine. I will then take my duct tape boot and put it right over the foot so the foot is in the center of the duct tape boot. I will then use my little flaps that I created, and I do the side flaps first and press them down around the foot. So you can see back here, the little flaps will nice and neatly wrap around the foot. And then I do the front flap and the back flap. So that creates a nice little bandage over the foot. Sometimes you'll have little openings where I've created the slits if you choose to do that. If so, I'll just add a little bit more duct tape over the foot. Or if the horse is going to be out walking around a lot, I'll add more duct tape over the toe to help prevent the bandage from wearing through. The final step is I will usually add a few strips of duct tape over the front where the vet wrap is exposed. If vet wrap gets wet, it will tighten. So I like to try to keep my vet wrap covered so that it does not tighten around the foot. If the horse is going to be turned out in an area that has deep mud or a dirty area, I will sometimes then choose to add elasticon to the top of the bandage. And this I apply very lightly, so just to cover. So I will usually cover the bandage about 50% and then the skin about 50%. And you can press this down nice and snug onto the skin, and that will prevent any dirt and debris from getting down into your bandage. This concludes our tutorial on how to do a foot wrap.